All right, welcome back to Reviewing the Call. Happy Tuesday night for us. Domo, welcome back tonight. It's just Domo and myself. Chris is out doing some other side projects, so he's cheating on us. And Carlos is actually out sick this time around. But tonight will be Domo and myself. We will try to keep you guys entertained as much as possible. Welcome back to the show. We just celebrated, if you follow us on Instagram and TikTok, we just celebrated our first episode being published over a year ago. So it was a big milestone for us. We were excited to finally get that milestone. So this is actually episode 48 because we did miss a couple of weeks. So it should have been 52, right? But this is episode 48 and celebrating a 1 year mark is pretty crazy because I remember when I first started the thing and it was just me before Carlos and Chris jumped on. They jumped on quick though. They jumped on like the second week, but the first week it was just myself. It was very uncomfortable, if I'm being honest, Dominic, because it was like talking to myself. Does that make sense? Like I was
was
like
just
trying to get my own opinion, in my opinion.
yeah, in my opinion.
Yeah. So
No,
it was definitely a great change to have everybody jump on, and then obviously you came on a couple episodes or a couple months afterwards through the Stanley Cup playoffs, and then you stayed on. So I'm just excited that we've hit the year margin. So I think that's a big.
It was the same thing. It was the same thing for me, like doing the the thank yous and stuff. It took me multiple recordings because you're sitting here and it's like, okay, make it real or whatever, but you're just kind of like, I would get going and I'm looking at myself like, okay, like, what do you do? Cut.
Yeah. I did a couple of takes of mine too, to where I had to do it I finally did it in the car. It was like the first take, it was me trying to do it first thing in the morning, and it was like 8 o'clock, and I don't think my body was awake, so my energy was definitely not there. And then it was just I felt like I was like, all right, I got to redo this. And then when you told me that it took you X amount of time to finish yours, I was like, all right, I don't feel so bad that I did so many takes.
We did that. We recorded that on what? It was last Friday, right? Like, or I guess we sent them in.
Yeah, you sent them. Yeah, you guys sent them in Friday. Yeah, I got Chris's and Carlos's right on Friday morning. I mean, Saturday morning. Sorry.
There you go. So yeah, I did mine on Friday. So it was. I'm sure I was probably Friday payday. I was probably a case in, something like that. I had a few, so that probably didn't help anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was good though. So congratulations to us celebrating our 1 year mark. It was a big accomplishment because a lot of people, and this is just for any podcast person that wants to start a podcast, they say that the milestone is getting through your first 7 episodes. So we are in episode 48 now. So I think we've surpassed that, and we're off to a great start. And this is the new season of Reviewing the Call. But other than that, this weekend, let's see, to recap my weekend, I got a new pair of glasses. Finally, they came in. So I got those.
I last one's Saturday. Broke or what?
No, they were just fading out like the gold plate, I guess, because they're not real gold. It was like fading out, and it was like staining my skin. So I was like, I need new ones. Finally came in, and we bought that. And then we were, like I was telling you earlier, we were supposed to take my daughter to a pumpkin patch, but it was way too windy in Dallas on Sunday to do that. So we actually hung out around here. We went to visit some friends, did some errands. Shout out to Joel for having us over, and he made some ribs, and we just kind of hung out for a little bit, watched some football, and then came home. And then that was our weekend pretty much. What about you, Dominic?
Not much. It was a 3-day weekend for me, so I was off of work Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It was windy down here as well. The wind's got a whole bunch of dust and everything stirred up, so I'm a little bit congested. And I can see on the camera my eyes are a little bit puffy.
Yeah.
It's allergies have just been kicking my ass this weekend. It all started. We went to Dewberry Farms in Brookshire, Texas, which is about 30 minutes down the road from me. We took my baby out there, and he had a blast. Like there was a small pumpkin patch, which he went to a pumpkin patch like 2 weekends earlier while I was at work. With a neighbor and their boys. They went out there, and so especially being at work, like pretty much everybody is, Monday through Friday, and for me Monday through Saturday on most times. I don't get to go do a lot of stuff. So Saturday we're able to go do that. which was awesome. And he was so excited just to have me there. And it's crazy. I'll try not to cry, but it's cool to see. Like, wasn't expecting this.
You're good, bro. You're good.
How excited he was for me to be there. So,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
shit. Sorry.
No, you're good, brother. You're
So
good.
that was good. That was good on Saturday. Got to hang out with him. Um, Kicked up a bunch of dust, so I got a bunch of allergies and everything like that.
Yeah,
Um, Saturday after that, didn't really do much. Just hung out at the house. Sunday in the morning, I went and fished. So that probably wasn't the best idea considering my allergies. I didn't sleep at all Saturday night.
yeah,
Um, so Sunday morning, it was cold, but I was dressed warm and expected it, and it felt
yeah,
good. But it was windy again, so it was kicking everything up. And then Monday, I didn't do anything. I just stayed home and just
yeah.
relaxed.
Yeah, I mean, I completely get what you're saying with feeling the emotional status of parenthood,
Golly.
but it happens, dude. I sometimes I look at my daughter too, and I'm just like the joy of her, just me getting off of work, even though I work from home most of the week. When I open the door to the office and she knows that I'm off of work, the excitement is just it's there, So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
it's a
Sorry
good
about
feeling
that.
to
Just
to see our kids. No, you're good. You don't
out
need
of
to
nowhere.
apologize. Most of our listeners are parents too, and they know exactly what we go through. So, the joy of a kid's life, man, through your eyes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to enjoy those moments with them because, like you said, most of us, typically we work all day, every day until we get really old, and then we can't enjoy those moments. So, your kid being happy that you were there is a great feeling.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So there's nothing to be ashamed of about that. Um, but yeah, so I wanted to give a shout out to everybody that follows us and liked our stuff. We got a lot of messages on our happy 1 year anniversary, a lot of shares. We appreciate you guys as our fans and as our supporters. We're only looking to do bigger and better things this coming year. So if you guys have any ideas, please shoot us a message or slide into our DMs and then just let us know. We may be going back to doing live recordings on Twitch or YouTube. We're not 100% sure. We still need to talk that through. But we may start doing that again because we did like the interaction of interacting with you guys and
Yeah.
talking and, shooting the shit, like Domo likes to say, with you guys.
Yep.
So we may go start doing that again, but we'll let you guys know once we make that full decision. As long as everybody's computers and stuff can keep up, we'll do that again. Videos drop on Friday on YouTube, and we've seen the likes and the shares on that, and we appreciate you guys. That's pretty much what I wanted to say to y'all. And yeah, like I said, Chris is off today. Carlos is off today again. He's under the weather too, so allergies are bad over here in Texas. And also, the Texas Lonestar Showdown is
Yeah.
going off right now. So with that being said, we're gonna just jump right into it. So the Lone Star Showdown with the Texas Rangers and your Houston Astros. You know what I've noticed, Dominic? And I mean, I'm a Dodger fan, obviously, and there was also that
Mm-hmm.
bad blood with Houston. But I've
Yep.
noticed on all of our reels and TikToks and stuff, when I hashtag Houston Astros and they see like the Dodger stuff gear or my jerseys or whatever, like those get the most likes. And I don't know if it's because fans of the Astros are like, well, you see, if a Dodger fan can talk good about the Astros, why can't everybody else?
Yeah.
Um, but obviously, we all know the Dodgers got eliminated and everything. The Baltimore Orioles got eliminated. So right now in the ALCS, it is the Houston Astros against the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers are up in the series 2-0 as of right now. They do play again tomorrow, Wednesday, but now they're playing in Arlington, which is home of the Texas
Mm-hmm.
Rangers. This kind of competition between Houston and Texas, I guess I hate calling them Texas Rangers because because they're in Dallas, right? But let's just say the Rangers for now. Well, they're in Arlington, so different city. But this Houston versus Dallas rivalry in every sport is massive. So the fact that both these teams are in the championship series game and or the series itself, and they are trying to see who's the leader in Texas, I enjoy that kind of bad blood and that kind of rivalry from a team,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to playoffs, especially when it comes to the Astros against the Rangers. If the Rangers pull this off, and I was talking to a buddy at work about this before the playoffs started, right? We knew that the Dodgers were going to be in there. We knew that the Rangers were going to be in there. All we needed was the Rangers to advance to the World Series and the Dodgers to advance to the World Series, and then the Dodgers would come to Dallas for the playoff or for the World Series itself, right? And we would buy tickets and go. Even though they're expensive, we would try to see if we can afford a ticket, right? So the
Mhm.
Rangers look like they're doing that. Like they may make it to the World Series, right? Leading the series 2-0 right now. And the Dodgers, they shit the bed completely and got
Yeah.
swept. So there's that,
Yep.
but I think that I enjoy seeing the Rangers there a little bit more than the Astros, not because of the bad blood that was there or whatever. I enjoy seeing a different team in the
Yeah.
final series of the MLB playoffs, right?
Mhm.
Because when was the last time we saw the Rangers in anything competitive or as competitive as there have been? 2011 I think was that stat that I pulled up.
I think I think the Rangers were supposed to be doing this the past several years. I think,
Yeah.
and it's growing pains and learning things like that. Whereas the Astros, they've been doing it for like 7 seasons now, or something like that. And
Seven
leading up
complete.
to that, and then they did have the 2017 debacle and everything, but they've
Mhm.
continued after that. You know what I mean? So for the Astros, it's kind of not that it's nothing new, but expected. But it's been expected of the Rangers. They just had to get some things figured out. Now, yeah, like you said, they're leading 2-0 with the first two home games being in Houston. I didn't think it was going to be two
I didn't,
nothing.
bro. I did not
We can get
expect
into
it to
further
be
into the
that.
games, but I don't think they. Real quick, I guess the 2-0 game one, Verlander had a good game. He pitched a good game, and it's just I think the Rangers they had it together a little bit more. And then you look at game two; it was a 5-4 game. I mean, you can't
Yeah,
really
and then
complain about that. You know
so
what I mean? Like,
game two for me started off a lot crazier, right? Because the Rangers went into the first inning and scored four in the first inning. And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we said this last week when Chris was in here too, and we posted it on our social media that when it comes to Houston playoffs, um, I'm gonna say this even for the Texans themselves. When it comes to the playoffs for the city of Houston, I think there's such a big passion for their team. So I feel like
Hmm.
a lot of fans show up and they get louder. So the fact that the Rangers
Oh
went
yeah,
to a hostile environment, not just being against the Astros, it's also a city rivalry between Dallas and Houston. It has always been that way.
yeah. And all
Um,
sports, any sport,
in
yeah.
any sport, yeah. So they went into Houston and scored four in the first inning, and then they scored their fifth in the third inning, right? They didn't score anything after that. That was their 5 points. And then Houston slowly tried to creep back in. They just couldn't pull the trigger. And a lot of the times, not just us, multiple sports podcasts will say this, that if you start playing catch up, it gets it's tiresome for your players,
Hmm.
right? To be
Yeah,
consistently trying to catch up. Not consistently that they tried this, but I'm just saying if you let them score four in the first inning, the whole game you're playing catch up until you get there, right? And scoring point here, 1 point here, it's not going to be enough. You need to have one of those power innings where you score four in 1 inning, just like they did. It
yeah.
takes the
And they
momentum from
can.
that team.
And Houston's done it a bunch, and a lot of other
Yeah,
teams have too. But a 4
yeah,
nothing, yes, especially in the first inning, you'd rather have that 4-0 or that 4 run inning happen first inning as opposed to you're up by one or something like that, and then it happens inning number 8 because now you
yeah.
have way less time to try to get back. But I do get what you're saying. The credit to the Rangers, they backed him into a corner, and to go with what you're saying, like when you're backed into a corner like that and you're clawing your way back, they did it at the right time in a sense of you never want to be down by that much, but at the beginning, the very start, that's if anything, that's when you need it to happen. And they held them off, and they just couldn't get it done. They were almost there, just couldn't get it done.
So, so my thing with this series in particular, and we'll get into the other series too, because the other series is actually live right now. They're
Mm-hmm.
playing right now. So, but in this series particularly, right, like Houston had the opportunity to go up 2-0 with the home games because now you play three consecutive in Arlington. It's not
And
a
I
it's
hate
not
that. I
about
hate that. Hate that. Hate that.
yeah, that system now is kind of weird the way they do 2-3-2. Like it's just it's kind of
The
strange to
the
me.
NBA, they do the same thing, don't they?
Yeah. So they used to do 2-2-1-1-1,
That's what the
but I guess
NHL does.
because I guess of the traveling or whatever, I don't know. It's
So
now it's 2-3-2, but now it's like, man, even if the person, let's say Houston had home field, right? They had home field advantage in reality,
well,
and
they do.
if
That's
yeah,
the thing. They do have home field, but is it
but
really home field? Like
exactly
you drop
because even if Houston would have won one game, right? Like if they would have just tied the series 1-1, the Rangers still have the opportunity to close out the series in their home stadium, right? Because you're
exactly,
going to play three consecutive in Texas now or in
and
Arlington.
the argument to go along with what you're saying, the argument is, well, they're the higher seed. They should have won their home games. Okay, but at the same time, okay, let's say number one seed and you're coming in as home field advantage, but you have to win your two home games in order to come back. That's not how is that an advantage? You're playing under more pressure
Exactly.
than the other team is, and they're a lower seed. You earned your
Yeah.
spot. You should get the home field, home ice advantage. Yeah, I can't stand that. The 2-3-2, it's like
I don't like it because
you
I
could be the
feel like
best team
it
ever,
just
drop the first two, and then
exactly.
that's it. You know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, and in playoffs, right? And in playoffs, it's what happens. You could be the best team ever, especially in MLB playoffs. Something about taking that week off, like they need to just do the wild card game, one game in, and then go right into the division round. Something about taking that week off takes the momentum, takes the wind beneath them out of there. You know what I mean? And then you go into a hostile environment, right? And then let's say you took that week, you waited for the Rangers to come on board. Now you rested, and then you're down 2-0. Now you got to go up 4 hours from Houston to Dallas, and then you're playing three games back in Arlington in a full Texas Ranger stadium, because that stadium,
yeah,
regardless of being hardcore Ranger fans or whatever, is going to get packed because
oh yeah,
it's a playoff game. So they're going to get packed. So it's going to be a loud place, and the stadium itself is super nice, but it's going to be a hostile environment for the Astros now, especially because there's still a lot of fans out there, not me, and not I can say I can vouch for Chris and not Chris, that have a lot of hatred towards the Astros organization. But to go back
mm-hmm.
to your original point where you were like, okay, they had the 2017 debacle, but they've been back to the ALCS, back to the
Yeah,
ALCS, back to the World Series, won the
mm-hmm.
World Series. Like all that should be washed away, but there's still a lot of fans that hold like some hatred towards the Astros organization and the fan,
Yeah,
like to that, you know. So
mm-hmm.
my thing is that with the Astros coming now to the Arlington, and not that they can't do it, because I feel like if there's going to be a team in the playoffs right now that could come back from a 2-0 deficit, it's probably the Houston Astros.
Yeah. I'm not counting them out by any means. It is.
No,
I'm not saying it's shocking they're down 2-0, but I would think at minimum 1-1. You know what I mean? Like one win, one loss. Now you're going to Arlington.
that's what I thought, honestly, bro, that it was going to be. I thought that they would at least win one in
Yeah, it
Astros.
just like I said, credit to the Rangers and their pitching, and their I guess game two their bats were real hot, especially at the beginning. But game one it was a 2-0. I mean that's I don't know. I guess it's a blowout in the sense that you lost 2-0, but I don't think it was that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they can definitely do it.
It's going to take a
I
lot. Like it's going to
It's
take a
going to
lot.
take a
You
lot
can
of
only drop one
power.
more after if they lose game three, you got to fire off four in a row, and it's with
Yeah,
any
that's going to
sport in
be
a
tough.
7 game series, that's almost impossible. It's possible, but it's tough. That's
Yeah.
tough. That's
So
tough.
here's just a fun stat. How many MLB teams have come back from 2-0? Teams taking a 2-0 lead in a best of seven postseason series have gone on to win that series 75 out of 89 times. That means
There you
84% of
go.
the teams that go up 2-0 usually close out that series. So,
No.
but the Houston Astros are kind of known to do the dramatic comebacks and the make the game interesting, and they I think that okay, I guess because we could put our predictions for MLB for this series at least. I think that the Houston Astros will tie the series back up,
In the
and so
next two
that'll put them,
games.
yeah, in the next two. I think they'll go 2-2. Is what I think is going
Yeah.
to happen. That they'll
Mhm.
go 2-2, and then they'll play one more in Arlington, and then they'll go full seven. And I think that the Houston Astros take the win in 7.
Astros in 7.
Astros in 7 is my guess for this one. What do you think on it?
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I like that pick. I was going to say Astros in 7, but based off the stat you just read, it's kind of hard to say. Well, they're going to split or not split, but they're going to go instead of 2-2, like 3-1 or something like that. So
yeah,
I not to be a biter or something, but like I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna take the same stance you got. That makes the most sense. And again, yeah, Baron. And at the same time, Astros in 7 is what I was gonna say. So that makes the
yeah.
most sense is for it to go about it that way.
I don't count them out. And we put a poll up on our Instagram story before the series started, like who do you think is going to take it? And it was kind of split down the middle, really. There was a lot of votes for Houston. I think out of
When I voted, it was Houston. Houston was up, and it was like I can't remember the percentage. You know, it tells you the percentage, but Houston was up. It was like 60% to 20 or some weird thing.
So it came down to like 55% and 44 something or whatever. Houston winning the series though. That's what was the final poll.
Right. Yeah.
So which is crazy to think because like a lot of people, like I said, that follow us are also Dodger fans. So a lot of them were kind of voting for the Astros organization. If I'm being honest, I put my vote for the Rangers strictly only because of the Rangers hitting right now in the playoffs. Like they've got the bats hot at the right time. Max Scherzer was going to come back and pitch game 3, which he's supposed to pitch tomorrow. Which is a big impact for the Rangers bullpen. So this series is going to be fun though.
So you on the vote you picked the Rangers, but you're taking Astros in 7 right now.
Yeah, I'm switching my vote. Don't tell nobody. But the only reason why I'm switching it to 7 is because I feel like with Houston, like even being down 2-0, something's gonna light up, and then they're gonna take off with it. Like you know what I mean? Like I feel like Dusty Baker's gonna motivate this team and then get them back up to square, and then be like, okay, we just need to win 2 more, and then take it to 7 and close it out in Houston.
Real quick to go back to what who we're taking, Astros in 7, and I agree with your take, and it makes the most sense. The other side of it is I'm still taking Astros in 7, but if they go down 3-0 to fire off 4 to prove that record wrong.
Dude, that would be nuts. Imagine if
I'm taking Astros in 7 either way, but
so imagine if tomorrow the Rangers win, right? 3-0. And then Houston has to come back and win 4 straight, and they do it. Let's say they do it, right? At that point, and they make it to because that means you make it to the World Series. Then you make it to the World Series. At that point, you, as a fan of the sport itself, there's no more talking about 2017. It's like at all. If they come back from 3-0, in Texas, and then it's a Texas Showdown, whatever, the Lonestar State Showdown is what they called it. Like if they come back from 3-0, win straight 4, then go on and win the World Series, there's no more talking. It shouldn't be.
I guess it depends on what fan base you're talking about. I mean, not talking about you or Chris or Carlos, but the Dodgers. I would think most of their fans are never going to let Houston live it down.
Probably
ever,
not.
I mean? And it's understandable. I get it.
Probably not. But I feel like a lot of a lot of my friends that are Dodger fans, they've said it too. Like we lost that one. We won one afterwards. It was the Mickey Mouse one, is what everybody calls it. The COVID one or whatever, but they also won. The Astros won another World Series soon after, so it's not like
true.
And nothing got proven. And I think we talked about when the Astros won on this podcast last year. Hey, now we can say that last year when we talked about on this podcast when the Astros won the World Series was that they've earned back that respect of being a feared organization.
We talked about that. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that respect was earned again. But I say Astros in 7 in this series. Domo agrees with that take. Yep. Even if they go 3-0, you're going to stick with the Astros in 7, right?
Correct. Yeah, Astros in 7, regardless whether they lose the next one and fire off 4 or win another one. You know what I mean? So okay.
Take Astros in 7 anyway. Yeah, I say Astros give up another win, but they push it to 7 is what I think is going to happen
with the Dodgers. With the Dodgers losing and everything, just like other teams that lose and all the memes that come out. There's one, you remember Chappelle Show, Tyrone the Crackhead? And he says to
Yeah.
himself, he's like, "Y'all got any more of those 60-game seasons?"
I saw so many of those, and to me, like I couldn't help but laugh because I was like, "Damn!"
Yeah.
Or like the Kevin James one, where it was like
Oh,
he's standing. What? And then the first one I saw, and I was dying laughing because I
was
was
it him?
upset
Was
when
it
the Dodgers
Dodgers
got
and
swept.
Orioles? And they're both like
Yeah, and they're both
kicking
standing
it.
there, and they were like, "When you win 100+ games, and you
They
still,
got the
and
hat.
then you bounce off in the first round," and I'm just like, "Man, this is the another year where the Dodgers won, and they did great during the season and just couldn't do it in the playoffs." And a
Yeah.
lot of people were talking, and not saying that this is the reason why they lost, but I just think that they were better than us, and we'll just leave it at that. But I just think
Yeah.
that the bye week really affects the momentum. And I know that I said this before the playoffs or before the divisional series came in for the Dodgers that sometimes the break helps. But
Mhm.
Chris kind of corrected me on it too, and he's like, "Yeah, but it can take the momentum away," and I
It
100%
does.
agree because it
The
takes it.
argument goes both ways. Like some teams need the break because they're so beat up and they need to get
Mhm.
healthy. Some teams we got the break, but is that the right thing to do? Because
Exactly.
the momentum. What was I think we talked about it. It was something versus rest. I think it was during the Stanley Cup playoffs. It was
Oh, it was
I can't remember what was the saying. Something versus
it was a
rest.
good saying that you had. It was like
Oh, damn.
restoration, restore,
No,
no,
no.
re-
Damn
respect.
it! I'm not gonna remember. I'm not gonna remember. Yeah, but it was a good one. Like it's basically that the argument of like taking a break or not taking a break, like which
Yeah,
one benefits, and it's an argument that's always going to be there because every year there's going to be a team that dominated or close to dominated and got that first round bye, come back and lose in the first round, maybe not be a sweep,
yeah,
but at the same time, another team that didn't get the first round bye, they're all beat up, like mangled up, and they come out and beat the other team. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's always going to be that way.
So there were three MLB teams, and
Oh,
I
I
don't.
remember
What is it?
rest versus rust.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, rest
Rest
versus
versus
rust,
rust.
which is 100% true. That's like the best saying. We need to save that.
No,
So there were three MLB teams that had 100+ wins this season. They all went combined 1-9 in the postseason.
I saw. Yeah, I saw that.
So there's that. But I mean, whatever. Dodger season's over. I mean, it was going to be a tough uphill battle.
Let's talk more about that.
Yeah, it was going to be an uphill battle. The bats weren't there.
Yeah,
Obviously, bullpen kind of crapped the bed on the first two games, but there's no excuse. The team, the Arizona, played better than we did, and you can't take that away from them. Like Domo said last week, like not for nothing, yeah, the Dodgers kind of crapped the bed, but the Arizona Diamondbacks played a lot
got to
better
give.
than we did.
And
So
even if the Rangers beat the as I say the Texans, the Astros, let's say they sweep them. I mean, you got to give credit to the winner. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because they you
exactly.
do it. These just like any sport, these players are playing professionally, getting paid big time money. So every player out there on that field is way better than anybody sitting around you. You know what I mean? These
Yeah,
are top of the league
top of the
players.
line.
So yeah,
Yeah.
top of the line.
So
There you go, top of the line
we
players.
got to give the respect to Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, on the opposite end of that, now they are playing a hot Philadelphia team who went on and beat the brakes off of the Atlanta Braves, which was a team that we
Yeah,
all thought was going to make it to the conference game. So the fact that they didn't, or to the champion conference game, to the championship series, they didn't. Philly ended up winning that series 3-1. Now they're playing Arizona, and Philly is hot right now. So this was a
yeah.
prediction that we had said at the beginning of the world of the MLB season. It was a super early prediction. A lot of us had Philly kind of making their way back in. A lot of us also had San Diego and the Mets because of the structure of their team. And then you
San
had
Diego.
San
Oh, and the
Diego.
Mets. The
Yeah,
Mets. Oh my
the
God.
Mets. Yeah, and then they crapped the bed too. And then
Wide left.
obviously, obviously we had the Dodgers going to, but also we called Houston. So like Houston versus Philly was a matchup to see. I didn't think the Rangers were going to be there. That's a underdog story for me. And then also I didn't expect Arizona to even be this far into it. I thought it would be right now like Dodgers versus Braves in the championship series. But it ended up
that
being
makes the most
Philly versus
sense. Yeah.
Arizona. So, but Philly is up right now, and I think they are currently winning too, if I'm not mistaken, from what I just saw. Yeah, they're up 3-0 right now, and they lead the series 1-0. So they're in the bottom of the sixth inning. A lot of home runs. Bryce Harper yesterday hit a home run for his birthday, so poetic. But
Good
Domo,
for
let me
him.
ask you something, bro. Let me
No.
just in general, speaking of sports in general,
Okay.
what do you think about like the script that people talk about? Like all this stuff is scripted. Like
Man,
what's your thought on that? Because like
no
last year, right,
bullshit.
you had Phillies and Astros World Series. So this year it's looking, well, it was initially looking like, hey, that could be another rematch, Phillies versus Astros, because Houston was is playing the Rangers and Phillies are playing Arizona, right? So like it can make sense to match again, Houston versus Philly. Do you think the script stuff, does that take anything into account
So
for
if you're talking sports in general,
yeah, just in general.
it's no bullshit, no bullshit. Everybody that's listening, everybody that's watching. Earlier, it was right after work. I was on Instagram, all this stuff, and a post came up. It was Kansas City. Just in the last like 2 weeks, they were playing. It wasn't. I don't think it was the Jets game. Who did Kansas City play this last week? Was it Denver? This last week?
Uh this last week?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
want
played
to.
they played Denver on Thursday. That was the first game of the week.
Correct. Okay, so there's a play, and I know this is a side story, but it ties together with what you're saying about being scripted. And I watched this, and I was like, man, I want to talk about it on the podcast, but I was like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy, but it's crazy to me you just brought this up. Um, it was Mahomes. He took off he has the football. He went to the right,
Yeah.
and the defender's coming up to him. The Denver
And he,
player
and he
sees him
doesn't
and goes over this way to like put up a block and lets him get the first down. It says when the script calls for a first down, like for Kansas City.
dude,
It's a live play, all that stuff. I get it, but that makes you think. You know what I mean?
it
It's like,
does.
come
And so
on, dude. Like,
here's the
it's
thing, right?
completely obvious.
Okay, so Philly just scored, so that's 6-0 now
Oh,
in the bottom of
jeez.
the six.
Oh shit!
Uh,
Really?
yeah, they just scored. So it's
Oh, okay.
six
There you go.
zero. Um, anyway, so speaking on the script, right, we can get into our NFL transition. Okay, so we have Houston, before we leave our MLB stuff.
Well,
We have
we don't have to go to NFL, but
well, because
like
I
I
want to
just
talk about it too,
because you
because
asked me that, so like that's what I
yeah.
saw earlier, like 3 hours, 4 hours ago.
So we're saying Houston, Domo and I are saying Houston takes the series in 7. I got Philly winning this series 4-1 is the way I'm gonna do this, Philadelphia versus Arizona. I got it winning 4 to
4-1.
1. Yeah, I say 4-1. I say they lose one in Arizona, but I think they win the rest. What you got a guess on this or a prediction on it?
I'm gonna say Arizona and 8.
Damn now.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you
So
said 4-1.
so I got Philly in 5.
5. I'm gonna take Philly. I'm gonna take. Oh man, I'm gonna take Philly sweep
Sweep. Bring the
for
brooms out.
nothing. Yeah, bring the brooms out.
All right. So Domo saying Philly in
Oh,
a sweep. I'll say Philly in 5. Chris probably said the Dodgers are winning, but he's not here today, so he has no say. All right. So those are our predictions for the MLB Championship Series. Next Tuesday, we'll be right back with some more MLB talk, and we'll see where our stuff lands. Whoops, I hit it twice.
Overrated.
Yeah. All right. So NFL Week 6 has wrapped up. It started off with the Broncos and the Chiefs. All right, back to our the script. So here's my take on it, right? Because I
Dude,
saw that same play that you're talking about, but the
it's
NFL
so funny you brought that up. It's
taken
so funny.
has taken it and ran with it too. Because I don't know if you've seen the commercials of them like doing the reading for the script this year or whatever. Like it started before the NFL season started, and it was a Key and Peele They were like in the commercial. Donna Kelsey, Travis Kelsey, Jason Kelsey, like they were all the big comedy, like, or the people that a lot of people know, right? They were in that commercial too, and they were talking about like, oh, in this year's script, yada yada yada. Like they were like saying it
I think
right,
I remember that. Yeah.
and a lot of people go into it and like, okay, we're not a conspiracy theory podcast by any means, but if this grabs traction, we might be. But
Well,
that
I
play
like
that
to
you're
think of
talking
myself
about,
as not a conspiracy theory guy, but I do like not that I buy in, but like little
some stuff
things
doesn't make sense,
like
right?
earlier today I saw that I was like, dude, that's obvious. And the Chiefs already had that conspiracy thing with the Jets because that was a close
Yes,
game, and the
exactly.
refs gave it to the Jets. So it's kind of like, man, that's like
Yeah,
it kind of
yeah,
seems obvious.
and a lot of stuff, it kind of like when these podcasts go into conspiracy theories, it really does kind of, they break it down into a very good point, and you're just like, that kind of does make sense. Like,
Right?
for
Yeah,
example, a lot of
their
people have
argument, their argument.
conspiracies with the 49ers, right? Like they went through two quarterbacks to get to Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, out of nowhere. Now he's Mr. Irrelevant. Like, he just took his first loss this last Sunday. He just threw his first pick this last Sunday
I
for
got a
this season, you know.
I got a question for you on that one. When you're
Mhm.
when you're done.
So, okay, so just to kind of bounce off of the script or whatever. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, they're trying to get him ready for like the Tom Brady era part of it. Like that's what it is. Like they want to push him as the face of the NFL because he's got the look and he's got this."
But
And
don't
I'm just like, "Dude, that don't make no damn sense. Like how are you comparing him to
no.
Brady already? Like there's no way."
I can well, I can okay, so I can understand how hot he's come out of the gates and with what he's accomplished already. Like I
Mhm.
get that. Okay, we want to push him as the next Brady, but if we're talking about scripted, you don't just hand it to him.
No, you
You know what
know
I mean?
exactly.
At least Tom Brady and the Patriots had to cheat a couple times around
Yeah.
the script. You know what I'm saying? Deflate gate, all that. I'm just making a joke, but like, you see what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna make it. We want him to be the next Brady, and so well, don't make it obvious if you're trying to push him, and if it is scripted, don't just
Then,
hand it to him. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's crazy to think that the NFL would be scripted, but there are a lot of people, and I have friends
Right.
that believe it too. You know, that they're like, "Oh no, like
I
some of that
get
stuff
it.
doesn't
I
make
get it.
sense," and I get it. But as a fan of sports in general, like I don't think it's that deep. I don't believe that it is scripted. I think that some stories just happen to line up and it makes sense. Like everybody thought like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
Drew Brees won the Super Bowl after the hurricane in New Orleans, like that was part of the script. Like there's always a big, tragic stuff that happens and that's part of the script. And it's like, no, sometimes stuff happens and they just lights a fire in your ass and then you kind of motivate yourself to, hey, I'm winning this for my
Yeah,
city or
and
whatever.
you feed off the energy and everything, but to go along with like football, I guess like football, really most sports, football, baseball, soccer, hockey, all that stuff, it's a team effort, right? So like
Exactly.
let's say let's say let's say the entire offense is like buying into the script, they're getting paid or whatever, and Mahomes is like, no, fuck that, we're gonna win this. Well, it takes more than just Mahomes because you have all these players on your team. You know what I mean? And you have
Yeah.
also the other side of the football. Whereas, like, if you're an MMA fighter or a boxer, hey, you need to take the fall. Here's a bunch of money. Boom, you can just get knocked out, no problem, right? It's
Yeah.
you have a team effort as opposed to one person. So I know, like, it makes me think, like, damn, maybe this shit is scripted. But it's like, man, even if you had half the team buying into that, do you think it really works out? Because you have the other half of your team
Ex-
playing the opposite side of the ball, and you have a whole nother team you're playing
Yeah.
against.
So I
So there would
mean,
have to
here
be there's so many
there's
moving parts to get this to be
to get it like
scripted to
perfect.
work.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like with that plays in specific, the one that you're talking about, right? The with the Kansas City Chiefs where homeboy looked like he turned around and
That
blocked for
was
him.
crazy, dude. That was
That
crazy.
was,
Like
but this like, okay, he might have like, I don't know. It did look hella scripted though to me.
yeah.
But I don't know.
Again, I think it's
It's
so
way too
funny you
many,
brought that up. That's so
like you
funny.
said though, it's way too many parts to all coincide with each other to
For it to
work.
work
You
out.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just way too many parts. And I was about to say, in my opinion, um, in my theory,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
In
it's
my
way too many
thoughts.
parts. But a lot of the times, people. How can I put this without getting in trouble in anyway. A lot of people think that it's Vegas that has a lot of control over it, not the Raiders, but Vegas, like the
Yeah, no,
gambling,
yeah, the
MGM,
betting, the gambling,
the
yeah.
betting, and all that stuff has a lot to do with it because there are some cases where you're like, dang, that's true, bro. Like they were down when the Patriots were down, 23 or whatever. What was it? It was they were down 23,
20,
right?
28 to
28 to
3,
3.
20,
It was
or
28 to
27 to 3,
3.
something like that.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
28 to 3. Matt Ryan's worst number. And the Patriots came back and won the Super Bowl. Like, there was a lot of money on the line for that.
But
And a lot of people say
but
that
you
that's why
also
boxing is scripted.
but okay, again, it goes back to what I was saying is when you have these full teams, 52-man rosters, like you have to convince 104 people basically and the coaching staff that it needs to go this way because of money line. And you're telling me over 104 people for one football game, even being at the Super Bowl or just a regular game, you convinced everybody and they're all just going to go along with it? No, I don't
Yeah.
think so. Like, I mean, maybe, but these guys are already getting paid by their team, whatever, hundreds of millions of dollars. So if Vegas is like, hey, I want to make sure it goes this way, why would you care? Now, if you have a boxer versus a boxer, that's different. That's 1-on-1. You have to convince two people, basically. And maybe they're
Yeah.
camps, but even then, it's not over 104. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And
Well,
everything else, like,
it's too much. Like you said, it's way too many moving parts to get to line up in football, at least, and in like soccer and stuff, and even in baseball. Like there's way too many things
yeah,
to
it's
line up.
too
I mean,
many. Yeah,
sometimes
too
you
many.
see people like kind of let off the gas, like Chris likes to say, and then you're just kind of like, that's kind of strange, bro. Like, why let off the gas now? Like, keep pushing it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't believe it necessarily. I need more proof. But that one play that you were talking about definitely kind of showed
It just,
a little bit of the
like I said,
script.
it's just crazy that you brought that up. And then, like you said, like every now and then it kind of lines up. And then here we are 6 weeks in, and it's happened twice with the Chiefs. Once
Yeah.
versus Denver, and
See,
then a
and
few weeks ago
that one
versus the Jets, where it's kind of like, man, this is kind
I
of
don't
weird.
like
Like,
that, dude. I don't like
I
that
know,
with
I
the
know.
Chiefs, man. So so speaking on, you just mentioned the Jets. Have you seen your boy Aaron Rodgers? Dude, he's like throwing again. Like doctors are like,
He's
this is unsafe
again,
for him to be without a crutch. Like
this is not scripted, but like this is
scripted.
drama. Something to no, not scripted, but like something to talk about. It's
Bruh.
drama. Like Aaron Rodgers is here. He's throwing the football, even though he's not wearing any pads or nothing. He's out there. He's just kind of nice and easy slinging, you know. But it's like, why, dude? Why even be there? I don't get it.
Okay, so
I don't fucking
Domo,
get it. Like
Domo, last week, bro, you said this. And if you're
what?
part of the script, but last week you said if David Bakatari comes back and signs with the Jets in the time for the Jets to make the playoffs with Aaron
Well, no,
Rodgers healed up, like
no,
this is gonna
no,
be
you have that. You had it like half right.
oh
David Bakhtiari, he won't be able to sign with any team until this season's over. So if the Jets make the
he's
playoffs,
free next
Bakhtiari
year.
can't sign there. It would be
Yeah,
next year. But yes, yes,
it would have been perfect though, because then you would have been spot on with your script.
yeah.
You would have got
Unless
that right
unless
on.
maybe there's a loophole. Maybe the agent knows a loophole. Who the
Yeah,
fuck knows? Maybe Roger Goodell, he does this thing,
yeah,
will sprinkle
uh,
something, and boom, he's in.
yeah.
You know.
Roger Goodell.
But yeah, but with Aaron Rodgers, like again, and just like the we talked about it a little bit, the Travis Kelsey, Taylor Swift. It's like, why? Like, why so much? I know it's more attention on the NFL, but does the NFL really need more attention? Like, it's the
So
top
I
sport
mean,
globally, I would think. Like, one of the top sports. Like,
yeah, I mean it's one of the top. I
what's the
wouldn't
point?
say globally because of soccer. Soccer's the
No,
most
I know, but
watched global
everybody
sport.
knows the National Football League, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So
Everybody
you're
does.
correct
So
with
it's,
that.
you know what I mean?
Um, so if I'm not mistaken, Al Michaels, yeah. So Al Michaels I think he was the commentator on Sunday night's game or Monday night's game. I don't know. I don't remember. No, he was on
Mhm.
Thursday night. He was on Thursday night with the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And they asked him afterwards, like, "Oh, you didn't really mention like the Taylor Swift stuff," and he said it. He was like, "Well, I'm here to commentate like on football,
Oh
like
no,
the
shit! I didn't
NFL.
see
I'm
that.
not,
I didn't see
I'm
that.
not commentating on anything else. Like
Good
it's."
for him.
He didn't say it like rudely,
Right,
but
right. But we
but
are here to
he
watch
just
football, right?
yeah, he just
I
strictly said like this isn't. He said I acknowledge it. I didn't know how to describe it. People tune in to watch a football game. I'm not doing access on what did he say on access on Hollywood. I'm not doing access Hollywood is what
maybe
he said.
there you go. That's classy way to put it.
Yeah,
Respect to all
and
my
it's
trolls
true.
for that. That's the best way to put.
Yeah,
No,
I
I
mean
agree.
it's
I agree
100%
100%.
true.
So maybe I'm late to the party. Maybe I'm the last person to think of this, and this is probably what the NFL is doing with Taylor Swift being like such a center point, especially at the Chiefs games because they're one of the best teams in the recent years. What if it's to get more of not just a I would okay I don't know how to put this, not necessarily a
A
younger
younger,
audience,
yeah,
but
I know
younger
what you're going.
female audience, and then
Yeah,
also like a lot of guys sit there on the couch all day and watch football, and their girlfriends and wives hate it. Maybe that's to draw them in.
yeah,
Maybe
and then a lot of
not
people
that
have
it's a bad
taken
thing. I'm just saying, like, I'm
and
wondering if
and
that's where the NFL is looking at it. Let's focus on this to get more of like the women
involved.
involved in the
Yeah,
NFL because the NFL is all guys playing, right? Like,
yeah, and not to you're not saying anything incorrectly. So a lot of people that I follow like on social media and stuff,
plus
they've
you can
come out.
cancel me too. I work at a Toyota dealership. Like, you're not gonna.
They've come out and said it too, that like if this is a publicity move for either Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce, see, I mean, and even we're talking about it. So like even if it is a publicity move for them, what it's doing, it's attracting the female audience into the sport of the NFL, because
Correct. Yeah.
now
Correct. Right.
you
Right.
allow your husband, or not allow, because it really, marriage shouldn't be that way, but you sit down and watch football with your husband rather than just him going away or whatever by himself, or you being annoyed that he's watching football all day Sunday, but now you're interested because you're like, how is Travis Kelce doing? Is Taylor Swift
And
at the game? You know
and
what I
like I
mean?
just
Like
said, the NFL doesn't need more eyes on their product because they are like a global product. But
they
like
are
you
the
said,
NFL. Yeah.
it's more of like maybe like getting more of
A
women to watch it,
specific,
like
yeah, I
which
think it's
is
more of a
more eyes,
specific
right? So
audience. Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. That to me is crazy. I mean, the Chiefs won. They beat the Broncos 19-8. Again, this is a very low scoring Chiefs game, in my opinion. Damn it. I was trying to go all episode without saying it. But so I think that it's a very low scoring game for the Chiefs, but they still got the win. They're 5-1 at this time. But before we get into any of the other games, I did want to talk about our picks from last week, including Chris's. So I actually took the L in week 6 horribly. Even though I honestly I had the safest picks, and I did tell Chris this. I said I think that the one that's going to bite me in the butt was going to be the Eagles game. I don't know why. I just had a weird feeling that the Jets were going to win, and they did. And obviously, so I lost. The only game I won was the Chiefs game, and that was they scratched their way to a victory.
right.
And then I
It was a
lost the
script. It was
Eagles.
scripted. It was
Yeah.
scripted.
And then I lost the Eagles and the 49ers. 49ers did take their first loss. So did the Eagles take their first loss. Chris actually went undefeated. He got Miami, the Texans, and the Vegas Raiders. So he won last week. And then Domo actually went 2-1. He got the Chiefs, Miami as well. And then he took the loss with the Bears. The freaking Bears, even as a Packer fan, they just
Mm.
continue to fail you. You know what I mean?
And I don't even know how to feel about it because Fields got hurt, so it's like even if he
Mhm.
didn't, would they have won? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I did say you could look at the last podcast. I did say after that big time win when he threw 4 TDs, no picks, all that stuff, it was like they gotta win another one, and he got hurt,
Yeah.
and they
I
they
mean, they
lost.
played the Vikings. I mean, they were at home, which is why I thought that the
Divisional
Bears.
game.
Yeah,
That's a
I
divisional
thought the
game.
Bears were going to take that win, though. I mean, it wasn't too far off. 19-13 was the score on it. The Texans
Maybe
got another victory. They beat the Saints. That's good. They're both 3-3 now, but I mean, that's good to see them beat a Saints team for once,
a
because
couple
usually
of
that's a bye
podcasts
week.
ago, I did say that the Texans were gonna. I feel like the Texans are gonna be bad for a very long time. I'm not gonna
Hmm.
say that I'm backing off on that statement, but I am like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, well, they are winning some games. They're 3-3, but it was the future was looking really bad, and the first couple of
Yeah,
weeks started off really bad,
just
and
turned
now
around
it's like,
just a little
okay,
bit.
they're treading water. So I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say I'm not backing off on my statement. I still think they're
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
bad for a bit, but with any team in most sports, you got to get bad before you get good. That's just the way it works.
I mean, it's the way it works. And I've gone back on my word too, and I've said the same thing sometimes when I'm like, well, but they're obviously not, like last year. The Eagles were the frauds to me, and damn near went undefeated, and then I mean they did lose in the Super Bowl, but I mean I had to swallow my I had to swallow that pill pretty
Well, yeah,
hard. You know what I mean?
you rode that one. You rode that one hard all the way to the end, buddy. I remember
Yeah.
listening to it. I was like, dude, they're in the Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? You're like, they're frauds. They're frauds. They're in the Super Bowl, man.
Yeah. But so speaking on the Eagles did take the loss to the Jets. The Jets won 20-14. Jalen Hurts threw 3 interceptions in that game. A
Yeah.
lot of people are calling it, and not me, just speaking off of stuff I've read and seen, that the Philadelphia front line, not front line, I'm not going to say front line because it's not the offensive line, but that the Philadelphia offense got exposed a little bit against the Jets. The Jets are a good defense, and they're not a bad defense, but
No, their defense has been good and gotten better over the last, I would say,
over the
3 years,
exactly
3 to 4 years. They've been better.
So there's a lot of comments stating that the Eagles got exposed, also that the 49ers got exposed because CMC was out, Debo was out, and that Brock Purdy threw his first interception this year. But so there's a lot of that word going around now. Oh, they got exposed. Oh, they got exposed. I don't necessarily see it as the Eagles got exposed. Jalen Hurts was running for his life. He was pressured a lot, and he was throwing interceptions. And some picks, some of his throws just didn't look on point.
Well,
I will agree with that.
if anything, maybe the Eagles' offensive line got exposed because they're playing a good defense. But the team as a whole, I don't think so. I mean, what was the score of that game? It wasn't like a crazy
20-14. It was 20-14.
All right, so
and then they had an opportunity to come back and score too. They had it at and then he threw a pick at the end. But I mean, they had the opportunity to come back and score, but they couldn't close it out.
Yeah.
And then the Jets took the win, 20-14. I mean, Zach Wilson didn't throw a TD or interception, so that's, I guess, a win in his book. But I mean, you're Zach Wilson. Yeah. So I saw a meme. Yeah. I saw a meme that said Brock Purdy without CMC and without Debo, and it transformed him from Zach Wilson to Brock Purdy to Zach Wilson. I was like, damn, that's cold, dude. But
I was going to ask you. No, go ahead. Sorry, keep going. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say about the 49ers. They lost to the Browns 19-17. Which came down to a field goal. I mean, Brock Purdy pushed it all the way to a field goal possession. All we needed was that field goal, and then it just wide right. So it is what it is. You know? Can't win them all.
That's the thing. It went wide right. If they would have made it, they would have won. That's a team effort. You know what I mean? Everybody, I guess, could have done a better job, certain players specifically. But what I was going to ask, so Brock Purdy for the Niners, and this goes back to last year, and I can't remember. Did he play with the 49ers the year before that? Not that it matters.
Last year was his rookie season. So that was last year was his
here out of nowhere.
Last year was his rookie season that he came in as a third stringer.
So what I was going to ask is, so with what he did last year, he had a great year, and and even this year he's had a great year. There's a fly that came in here out of nowhere. It's driving me crazy. What the fuck? So. He's had a great year, obviously, right? They were undefeated until this weekend, and it wasn't a terrible loss. He did throw his first pick and everything like that. But at the same time, Samuel went out, Christian McCaffrey went out, and then here's this. People are saying they laid an egg. I wouldn't say it was an egg, but Brock Purdy didn't look great when missing those two people. So is Brock Purdy... The argument up until this point has been, is he a great quarterback? And maybe not elite because he hasn't won anything yet, but is he a great quarterback? And everybody's been like, no, he's good, he's great. He misses two people and then...
Yeah, you know I mean, so it's I get what you're saying is. I understand what you're saying because, I mean, he had one TD, one interception, his first interception this year, and then this is his first loss in a regular season game since he started. Because last year he took us... And he won every game up until the conference game against the Eagles, obviously with his injury. And then this is his first official loss as a starter for the 49ers. So I do agree that he's not at an elite conversation to me because you're 100% correct. Yeah. He hasn't won anything. He's taken the team. Yeah. But to bounce off of what you're saying is if without his top two threats, did he get exposed? He didn't have a spectacular game. He had a QB rating of 55.3, which is pretty bad, and then only 125 yards
And
in
a
the air,
pick, right?
12
And a
for
pick.
27, and a pick and a TD. But yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that okay, so we said this earlier when we were talking about the script, right? It's a team effort. It's not just Brock Purdy. It's out there. You got all your weaponry right there. Cleveland's defense isn't horrible. Not saying that that's the reason why, but I think that anybody that's going to be put into the elite conversation has to be able to do it on their own, because you have QBs that are elite, like let's say Aaron Rodgers, right? Green Bay Packer Aaron Rodgers. Did he have weapons? Yes, but he didn't have. Okay, well, this might be bad because Devontae Adams was a top 10 receiver, top 5 receiver for sure. But even afterwards, like he would still be able to sling the ball and get the team to a victory, need be. Is this on Brock Purdy? No, I mean, it was a missed field goal.
No,
Is he a good QB without the other two? It kind of looked like he was in the middle, if that makes sense.
I
Like,
think,
I'm not going to say
yeah,
he was a bad QB or a good QB because it kind of just looked like he was staggered and he was just in the neutral zone to
I
me,
think,
from what I saw.
I think with him, what it is he's got a Jesus Christ. Sorry, this fly is. I think with him,
Bruh.
it's a small. I know. I don't know what the hell is going on here. I don't. It's a small sample size in a sense of like he hasn't played a full 2 seasons. Granted, his
Mm-hmm.
first season was a lot of success, and then he got hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and then this season has been a lot of success. We're only 6 weeks in, and then he has his top two guys go down. He's 125 yards, a pick, and a touchdown, and they lose by 2 or whatever. It's a team effort, like you said, and like I've been saying, but I think he's just like stuck in the middle. Like there's not a large enough sample size. If you bring up Rogers, Breeze, Brady, all these players or quarter at that position quarterbacks, you're looking at a giant career and what they've done over time and put the team on their back in the playoffs, or they're down big in a must-win game, they put the team on their back. He just hasn't been around long enough. So I was just curious because you're a 49er fan and everything. Like, what do you think of Brock Purdy based off of that? Because that was what's it called? Not resilience. It's the opposite of that. When you have the hard times come to you, basically. I don't know how to
Yeah.
say it.
I mean, so
He was
to
facing that, and
yeah,
that's what ended up happening,
he's
right?
so to like what from what you're saying is yes, he was in the middle to me. He hasn't played 2 full seasons, like you said, so there isn't a lot of stats that we could base it off. Right? Last year he had a great season, but Debo was out sometimes too, but he has still weapons out there, right? You still have Brandon Ayuk who can
Yeah, yeah.
receive. I mean, he received 76 of those yards. Christian McCaffrey had his receiving touchdown. You still have weaponry. You still have George Kittle. You
Yeah,
can use
Kittle.
it,
Yeah, there you go.
and
Yeah,
and I think that to be stated as a good QB, right? Not somebody that's in the middle, not somebody that's below the middle, just a good QB. You're supposed to be able to use all of your receivers, all of your tight ends, all of your backups. Like you're supposed to be able to have that connection with everybody, not just with one and two. And I think that this is where,
mm-hmm.
and we're like to speak on other teams and other players, where Dak Prescott has an issue. Is Dak Prescott is strictly stuck with looking at CD Lamb most of the time, and the defense eats that up. Like they'll double coverage CD Lamb, and then Dak's without a receiver to throw. Not that that's the only receiver he throws to, but
Yeah,
you can read his eyes that that's where he's mainly focused on. And now, if Brock Purdy is headed in that same direction, it could be an issue further down the line because what if Debo goes out? Knock on wood that he doesn't, right? But what if he does go out for the season and he just can't play? Then what do we do? I mean, you have a Brandon Ayuk who you can still throw to, but they're going to double him up, and then there goes another weapon. And then you have George
right.
Kittle, and
Yeah,
George Kittle hasn't had a spectacular season. He had a great game against Dallas, but he hasn't had a blowout season this year. And then if CMC gets hurt, the way we're using him, it's only a matter of time before he's out for a week or two. And in this case, currently right now, he's out up until further notice, right? Until he's day to day, as they say, with an injury. So we don't know when he's going to be back. If he's back on before Monday night's game against the Vikings, is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be ready? But as a QB,
mm-hmm.
you're supposed to be able to use everybody on your offensive side to to be a good QB in my
Well,
opinion.
of course, yeah.
Damn it, said it again.
In my opinion.
But yeah, I mean, so the Browns won. They beat them 19-17, missed field goal. It is what it is. You were bound to lose a game, unless you go
Definitely,
undefeated
definitely.
up until the Super Bowl, But I just think that it was gonna happen. Then the Eagles ended up losing, so there are no more undefeated teams, but there are a lot of teams that are 5-1. With Chiefs, Chiefs, Dolphins, Eagles, and 49ers, and the Tiger.
Yeah.
The Tiger, what is happening? The Lions. Oh my god. The Lions are
Wow.
5-1 too.
Wow. The Tigers.
Yeah. Did
Lions,
you
was it
watch
Lions, Tigers, oh my, or Bears, Lions? I can't remember.
Did you watch any of the Cowboys and Chargers game last night? Last night being Monday.
I watched about 10 minutes of it, and it was towards the end. The
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys were driving, and it was very, very sloppy from what I remember. And then I woke up, it was 2:30 in the morning, and I was on the couch. So I'd lay down on the couch and was watching the game and just that's how I just nodded
Yeah,
off.
I mean, and I'm gonna say this because I got immediately as soon as the Cowboys won, I had a lot of text messages from my friends
We
in Dallas
we
that they
them
won.
boys or what?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much saying,
You
"Oh,
didn't
the
beat
Cowboys
anybody.
won" or whatever.
All look at who they beat and who they haven't. This was the talk last week. They who they beat? They beat the Giants. They suck. They just beat the Chargers. They suck.
They beat the
Um,
Jets.
the Jets. They suck. They played the Niners. The Niners kicked the shit out of them. So it's like you've only played shitty teams and won, and
Look,
the only good
here
team you played, you got the shit kicked out of you.
I'm gonna say this because a lot of people say that we're Cowboy haters. We're not Cowboys
I'm
haters,
not
but
a. If the
we have
Cowboys
to
were
be
good, I'd
realistic.
respect them, but I don't.
Yeah,
They're not
we
good.
have to be
They beat
realistic
bad teams. Yeah, they beat
because
bad teams. That's it.
they almost lost to the Chargers last night. They were it was 17-20, and
Pissed.
Justin Herbert threw a pick right to Stephon Gilmore out of all people. So he threw a pick, and that's where the game ended because he had 2 minutes left to run down to the field goal possession and maybe tie the game, go to overtime, or score a touchdown. Who knows? He had 2 timeouts left still, if I'm not mistaken. And so they almost lost that game. Not saying almost lost because it was
Well, yeah,
recovered
no,
in
it
Dallas
was coming
territory, but
towards the end. Yeah, it was.
it was going to be a
They were
potential
coming
tie
back
or whatever.
basically.
They were trying to push
Right.
the momentum to the LA Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say that you guys as Dallas Cowboys or Dallas Cowboy fans are in the wrong for saying people are Cowboys haters, but it's talking about realistically. You guys lost to the
Yeah.
49ers 42-10. We're not holding that victory for the rest of the year because the 49ers just lost to the Browns. But what we're saying is you have to be realistic. It doesn't mean that you're going to go to the Super Bowl because you beat the Chargers, you beat the Jets without Aaron Rodgers. You lost to the Cardinals,
Yeah.
if you guys remember correctly. You beat the Giants, which is a horrible franchise currently. And the Chargers almost came back and won that game. They were about to do it. So Dak Prescott had a good game, 272 yards. He averaged 9.1 and he threw one TD, a QB rating of 109. So it's not bad. He did rush a lot though. He had 40 yards rushing and one TD. So
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb had a hell of a game. No TD, but he had 117 yards. So CeeDee Lamb came out and said against Jamar Chase, stating that they're always double coverage. Like we're open, but we just can't get away from like the double coverage scenarios, and
Yeah,
which is
and that's the job
causes
of the
issues in the
defense is
red
to
zone.
lock.
Yeah,
They're their best receivers or whatever, so to lock them down. I mean, that's get the ball to
yeah,
CD Lamb. Well, that's easier said than done when he's got two guys,
exactly.
hanging over him. Like
Yeah.
you
So
got
I mean,
special receivers that can be double covered and always come up with the ball. Randy Moss being one of them. It's like you don't always have a Randy Moss. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's
and
it's
and,
way
and
easier said than done.
Dak Prescott said it in the post game interview when he got interviewed on the field. Because they asked him, they were like, last week's game was a humbling experience, is what he had said. And he was like, yeah,
Yeah,
last week was a humbling experience against the 49ers. That one hurt. And they asked him, like, well, how do you feel about now this victory? And he said, look, the Chargers are a good team. We're just going to take the momentum and move forward. It's one game at a time. So even he's saying, he's like, dude, we're not the best team out here.
yeah,
We're going out there. We're trying to do our job and trying to win one game at a time, which is what you should do. Like you can't go in after one loss and say the season's over, and you can't go in after one win against a mediocre team saying that you're going to go to the Super Bowl. And I think
yeah.
that's the problem with Cowboy fans in general is that they get one victory and they think that this is the parade that we've been waiting for, and we're going to go to the Super Bowl. And this is our year, is every year that we hear it. So
and the thing is, like, to kind of go along with what you're saying, like, I don't hate the Cowboys at all, and like if they're good and they're, I mean, you got to respect that. You know what I mean? It's just like the Patriots.
yeah,
For the longest time, fuck the Patriots, and everybody hates them. And especially around here in Houston, everybody in Houston's fuck Dallas, fuck the Cowboys. I get it, but like I've never been that way. Like if the Dallas Cowboys are good, they're a good team. Not that I'm rooting for them, just like I'm not rooting
yeah,
for Seattle. But if they're good, like, I mean, you got to respect that. I'm not rooting for the Patriots, but all those Super Bowls and everything like that, you can't argue with it. The only thing is, like, like what you're saying, and man, this opens up a whole thing. But like, Dak Prescott wanted all this money, and I need a big contract. Or he didn't say that, but I guess that's what his agent was saying, because it was a long, drawn out process. He got this big contract. He had one playoff win. Aaron Rodgers shut him down all the other times. Not Aaron Rodgers,
yeah.
but the Packers, I guess, as a whole. But mainly Aaron Rodgers, because it came down to, like, boom, we need a field goal. Rodgers made the pass. But anyways, I digress. But like, it's like he wanted all this money, and he's only won one playoff game. Jerry Jones gave him the contract, and he hasn't done shit since. And I think I've said it on the podcast before, maybe at the very beginning. I think for me personally, not every fan, but most Cowboy fans, and it's not just Houston fans or Packer fans or Steeler fans, as a whole, most fan bases, they don't like the Cowboy fan bases, I think, is what the problem is.
Yeah.
Even if the Cowboys suck, it's like, okay, they suck. If they're great, everybody's like, okay, they're great. It's the fan bases that piss everybody off. Like, I'm never, ever, ever going to a Dallas Cowboy game unless I'm wearing Dallas gear, because you're probably going to get the shit kicked out of you in the hallway. You're taking a
Yep.
piss. You know what I mean? And it's not
Yep.
even there. It's here in Houston at Buffalo Wild Wings. You can get jumped because your team, you're wearing another team's jersey and they beat the Cowboys. It's just like, I feel like their fan bases is what pisses everybody off, not
It's
necessarily the
wild. Yeah.
Cowboys.
Yeah.
It's the
It's not
fan base, I
because
think.
we've all agreed, even before we did our podcast, like we've agreed that if the Cowboys are good, the Cowboys are good. Do you fear the Cowboy defense? Micah Parsons is a great defensive
Oh
player,
yeah,
one of
oh
the
yeah.
best in the league currently. And of course you fear him, right? You guys had Trayvon Diggs, great defensive player. So I mean, we respect it where it's at, but it doesn't mean that, like, we're not trying to hate. You know what I mean? It's just we try to be realistic, and I think every fan base is that way, where okay, we had a crap season last year, time to regroup. Doesn't mean that with one win we're going to go to the Super Bowl. Like, no, it's just you play one game at a time, one weekend at a time, and then if you're in the playoffs, you're in the playoffs, and if you're not, you're not, and then you are a Bears fan, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, to argue the other side of it, though, is like you're saying that the Cowboys are good and everything like that, and it's not every single Cowboy fan. Like,
No, not at
I
all.
have
There's
friends
some
that
that
are
are
Cowboy
super
fans, but
realistic.
they also understand too. It's like, man, there's a guy I work with, and he's like, "Fuck, man, like Dak Prescott, this, that," and he's being realistic, you know.
Yeah,
It's just the other people that are just like, "No, fuck that." Like,
yeah.
I know I'm
I
dropping a
don't know.
lot of
It's
f
just
bombs, but it's like it's just unreal. I
no.
can't believe it. That's why people don't
It's
like the Cowboys.
it's just it's hard to say with Cowboy fans in general and their fan base, like they're just uncontrollable sometimes, and you beat a crap team and you think that this is your year. You start the season off great and then you lose to the Arizona Cardinals, and then you guys are quiet for a week, then you get the brakes beat off of you by the 49ers, and then you're definitely quiet. And then you just move on.
No.
Enough Cowboy talk for today. Congratulations, you won on Monday night. I am ready to go into our top picks. If you are, my friend, for this
One
week.
second. I'm looking right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm missing one. And I'm trying to look up. Okay, so the Cowboys beat the Jets. They beat the Patriots. They beat the Chargers. They're all
Mm-hmm.
shitty teams. They lost to the Cardinals, which is not a good team. I don't know what happened that weekend. And they got the shit kicked out of them by the 49ers. So they're 4 and
They beat
2. I
the
get it, but
Giants.
and the Giants, that's the one I'm missing. So
It
yeah,
was the
that's what I'm
first
saying. Like,
game.
yeah, like it's not showing up for some reason, but like you lost to the Cardinals. They should have won that game.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
Cowboys, they're way better than the Cardinals are. So it just goes to show, like, the only
So I
good
had
team, the
said,
only real good team you played, kicked the shit out of you.
yeah, and
When
I
you played
had
a
said we said this. Like I told you directly too. I was like, look, dude, like I'm expecting it to be 49ers versus Cowboys, both undefeated when they meet up. That was my prediction, was that the Cowboys were going to go
I think that's
undefeated
everybody's prediction was going to
until
be
until they
like,
play each other that Sunday, right?
yeah,
In Levi. And then obviously the Cowboys had lost to the Cardinals. So it was kind of, it threw everything off. But then the 49ers, which is one of the best defenses, one of the best offense weaponry right now, like came in, did their job, left out of there, and that was it, you know? But we all expected the Cowboys and the 49ers to both be undefeated at that matchup. And it wasn't that way.
yeah,
And then
no, I
the
know.
Cowboys just they couldn't do anything. There was just too much stuff going on for them to even keep up. 42-10. So it's not like you barely lost. No, it was a beating is what we
I
like to
do,
call it.
and I do understand that this rant we just went on, we've been absolutely dogging the Cowboys. I get that. That's not the point, but
Nah, not at all.
I don't know.
This is staying on there too for those Cowboy fans that like to DM us.
These,
Um,
I hope they do well. They gotta figure it out, man. They're loaded with talent. I don't know. They're just one of those teams. It's like I don't know what the fuck's wrong there. Like
well,
they've had a
here's
lot of
here's
talent
the
go
thing.
through
Like
there, like a lot of
you
talent, and they just cannot get it done. I
you
don't
don't
know. I
have
don't know.
Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay to run you out of the playoffs every year now, so it's your opportunity to shine and take that division. You know what I mean? Like try to, at least, because you still have NFC weapons that are still going to go out there
At the same
and play
time, but
ball. But
they're 4-2, right? At the same
yeah,
time, so it's still early. It's just
yeah,
I guess the sample size is just like,
yep.
man,
So,
we're just shitting on the Cowboys right now. Like,
but they got their win. They're on a bye week now, so enjoy the
the
victory for
victory.
2 weeks. Let's go into
Man.
our picks for this week for week 7. Chris just sent me his. I'm gonna read off Chris. He's got the Lions versus the Ravens. He's taking the Lions in that one. He's got the Patriots versus the Bills. He's taking the Bills. And then he's got the 49ers beating the Vikings on Monday nights. Domo, do you have yours?
Yep, I got
Go ahead.
Jags at Saints. I'm gonna take the Jags. I have the Bills at the Patriots. I'm taking the Bills. And I think the biggest game of the week, the Dolphins at the Eagles, both 5-1. I'm taking the Eagles.
Oh, okay.
Coming off that loss in
Yeah.
Philadelphia, the
In
city of
Philly, right?
brotherly
That one's
love.
in Philly.
It's in Philly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's gonna be okay. Here, my game of the week is that one. I think that's the game of the week to watch. They're both 5-1, like Domo said, in Philly. I'm gonna go with my picks. I'm taking the Chiefs this week. Please don't fail me now. I'm taking the Dolphins over the Eagles, though. That's the one I'm choosing because the Dolphins are looking pretty good this year. And then I am going to take the Raiders over the Bears.
Wow. The Raiders.
That one is in Chicago, but I still think that the Raiders are going to win. The Raiders are 3-3, so
Did
I got the Raiders winning that one.
I can't remember, but you took I mean, you already wrote the picks down, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you can't take it back. Tyreek Hill, isn't he hurt or no? I thought I saw something that he got hurt.
No, I mean he got fined. I don't think he better not be hurt because that's the reason why I picked the Dolphins.
He got fined. I
Um,
thought I saw he got hurt. Okay,
well,
no,
he
you're good.
got
You're good.
fined hella bad for his no wearing socks.
No, I saw
That's
that, but
like his thing.
I thought that he got like a. Okay, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Right.
Yeah, no, he's not hurt now. I just looked up the news for Tyreek Hill. It looks like he's good. It doesn't say anything about an injury. Now, if he
All
gets
right.
injured,
Well,
that's part of the script, then I guess.
you
But
panicked for a second. It
I
wasn't
did.
intentional. I thought he got
I
hurt.
was
I thought
about
he
to.
got hurt.
I wrote it in pen. I was about to scratch it off and be like, "What do you mean? I took the Eagles in that game."
You're like, Samari, I need some pencils. You can erase it. Some
Yeah,
whiteout.
so those are our picks for week 7. With that, man, that's gonna be it for our episode today. There was some boxing this weekend with Dylan Dennis and Logan Paul crap, whatever that fake boxing 6 round is.
Yeah, yeah.
Money grabbing that happened. KSI Tommy Fury happened. Supposedly that was a robbery. I don't know, but Premier League back on next week. let's go into our top 3 for tonight. Domo and I, because we are the metalheads in this podcast show, are going with top 3 metal bands. So, Domo, fire away, buddy.
I'm going to do a 3-2-1. I do have a couple honorable mentions.
Yep.
And the 3-2-1, I played drums my whole life, so these are like my most influential bands, I guess. And I love the guitar. Like I wish I could play guitar, and I wish I could play bass too. But Ozzy Osbourne, pretty much every band I do like Black Sabbath. That's more of like an old school thing. So I do like him, but when he went on his own, when he had Randy Rhoads and Zakk Wylde and all them, so Ozzy Osbourne's gonna be my number 3. And then number 2. So I have number 2 and the number 1. I'm still torn. I'm gonna put number 2 Slayer, because it's Slayer and like I love their music. And then number 1 Metallica, because going through middle school to high school, I was super heavy into Metallica, like super heavy. I don't think Lars Ulrich is that great of a drummer, but the band as a whole, in the 80s specifically, that I love Metallica. Like that's my most influential band is Metallica. So Ozzy Osbourne, Slayer, Metallica.
Good picks. The Lars Ulrich thing that's a hot take. Well, but I
don't think
know a lot of people
look it up.
Yeah, I was about to say a lot of people
drummer.
do agree with that same thing though. They say the same thing.
He was better. He was better in the 80s, and this isn't just being like I'm a better drummer than him. That's not what I'm saying. In the 80s, he did good for that band. Listen to him at the late 80s to the 90s to now. He's terrible, like absolutely terrible. He can't do a fill. Like he's. I saw a post the other day that Lars Ulrich is the luckiest drummer ever. Like the dude's set forever and everything. One of the greatest metal bands ever. I mean, give it to him.
Of course, yeah.
He did his job in the 80s, but man, he's not a good drummer. He's not
all that.
He's not.
I guess. I mean, you would know more on the drumming part of it.
Let's bring this up next podcast, and we can play some videos too. And I think Chris will agree with me. That guy in the pocket, he's just not good. He's just not good, man. Lars is not good.
Yeah. So before I go to my top, the Phillies are up 10-0 in the top of the 8.
Oh, Jesus.
So they're just pouring it on now. I think the sweep might happen, Domo, what you said.
Nah.
So my top 3 are going to go in 3-2-1 as well. I'm going to go with Rage Against the Machine as number 3. Deftones is number 2 for me. A lot of people are probably going to be surprised with that because I love Deftones, but it's kind of the same thing to base it off of kind of how you said with like going through like middle school and high school listening to a specific band. To me, that band was System of a Down. I just have such a connection
I like
to
that.
them. So System of a Down to me is my number 1 pick on that. I do have an honorable mention. Do you want to throw yours first? You got several.
I have like 3 that I just off the top of my head. I want to say though, with the who'd you say the System of a Down? I feel like that's more metal than the other 2 that you mentioned, like metal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could consider it more because it's all part of the NU metal, the new metal era, Rage Against the Machine and Deftones and all that. System of a Down definitely is hit more of the original metal style, but they were still considered a new metal band. Because that's like the era of my metal music.
That makes sense.
Like I like the older metal too, though, but it's just was more of my timing.
It does make sense because even with Slayer, which is a little bit before my time, but that was more like thrash metal. So that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry to call you.
What's your honorable mention? No, you're good.
I was going to say, obviously, if you mention Metallica, you got to throw Megadeth in there. Since Dave Mustaine was the original member of Metallica. Pantera, that's another big top one right there.
That was my honorable.
One that my brother got me into when I was very young was Sepultura. That's some heavy
you got me into Sepultura on
that's some heavy metal.
There was one weekend we were at my garage, and then you were like, "You need to listen to them." And actually, that's when I started listening to them.
I remember.
Yeah. So Sepultura is definitely up there too.
I think I told you I was like, I was like, I know music, man. I know music. I was being stupid.
Pantera is one of my honorable mentions. As of late, though, I've been into a lot of heavier side of metal. I guess you can call it. But like Motionless in White is really good for me. I really enjoy them. Suicide Silence, but that's like deathcore metal. But if we're talking like strictly just metal, it would probably be like Chevelle is metal for me. I really like Chevelle and their music. Tool, but I don't know if you consider, like, some people consider Tool metal, but some people
I don't
also consider
consider
it like,
Chevelle, unless there's some albums I haven't heard. I don't consider Chevelle metal.
yeah. So okay, so here's,
Chevelle?
it's that different era. It's new metal. It's new metal. Like Linkin Park was new metal. It's all that. It's weird, right?
All right,
But
G.
it's all part
All
of.
right.
With that being said, we're out of here. No, but yeah, it's just a different era of the
I
heavy,
got
or
you.
not,
Yeah.
because it's not considered heavy metal. That's the
Right.
thing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, no, I get
it's
it. I
not
get it. I get it.
Pantera heavy metal.
Right.
So it's just a little different. I don't know. My Spotify playlist is all over the place, so whatever plays is what I'm listening to.
Right.
But yeah, that's gonna be our tops picks for top 3 metal bands, or new metal bands, I guess, if Domo is criticizing me. But that would be it for our show today. We've got our picks in. We are hoping to see the Astros, weird saying that out loud, push it to 7 against the Texas Rangers. I want a good series, so I want that to go 7.
I'd like all the series to go 7, honestly. I mean, everybody would, right? I mean,
if it does go 7, it would finish Monday of next week, so we wouldn't catch it on our recording night, but it would finish Monday of next week, because the World Series starts Wednesday. So
oh shit. Okay,
there's
there you
that.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be Monday night if we would see if they push to 7. So I mean, that's what was our pick. So we're hoping that works out. Again, thanks for the great year of comments, shares, likes, all that good stuff. We appreciate every little thing you guys have done for us and put our name out there. Continue to share it with a friend, like it. You don't really even have to listen to the TikTok if you don't want to. Just put it on mute and double tap and just like it. It pushes the algorithm better for us.
There you go.
This episode will drop Friday morning, so you'll be listening to this Friday morning again. So have a good weekend, y'all. Have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the weekend with your fam. Go to a pumpkin patch. Make sure you take your allergy medicine, Dominic.
Yep.
And and that would be it for our episode today. We will catch y'all next week. Peace out.
All right, thanks, guys.